We were talking too about the documents, and we want to remind the audience that this is a live show. You can call us here. They've got the number up on the screen, 610-378-0426. I've seen this in car accident cases where an insurance company wants to get you out of the way. They send you a check in the mail. You open up your mail and you see $1,000 check, and you go, "Oh boy, that's made out to me." And then you don't read the little print on the back that says, "If you sign this, you have just, voided," or I don't know what's the verbiage they use, but and the same thing happens in workers' comp. They have the employee sign papers that, especially ones that don't speak good English. I've seen them have forms that are all in English, and these people don't speak English sometimes. So be careful. That's the other thing we wanted to talk about tonight.
Yeah, and never sign forms without talking to your attorney and making sure they're correct, because a lot of times they'll say, "Well, just sign this form and we'll give you a check." Mm-hmm. And you may be signing away important rights that you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
And there's no way you're going to know if it's okay or not without really understanding the language and the verbiage. So you shouldn't sign anything without having it checked out by your attorney.
Now, see, that's something else, too, that people aren't aware of. When we were talking about this with car accidents, sometimes the insurance company calls you up and says, "We'd just like to record this conversation." That's when you need to have your ears go off and say, well, when you're represented by an attorney in a workers' comp case, everything goes through you.
Right. Right. I've had clients who, even though I've been their attorney, the insurance company will still call them up. There are people that I've represented for years that the insurance company will still send forms to and papers to without copying me. And the only protection is to make sure that I have it. And, because insurance companies switch adjusters a lot, they switch locations a lot. Sometimes the insurance companies themselves get bought and sold. So a lot of times, even if somebody I've represented for many years, the insurance company won't, either intentionally or unintentionally, won't have myself down as the person's attorney. So they'll send you forms to sign, or they'll ask to take a statement, and you think you're just being very innocent and telling the truth, and they always use that against you.
Yeah. And that's something else we wanted to talk about, too, is many times people say to me, patients come in and say, "Well, I can't afford an attorney." What a lot of people don't understand, that in this workers' compensation system, the person who's injured usually gets paid 70, was it?
It's usually two-thirds.
Two-thirds of their pay.
Usually it's two-thirds.
And out of that two-thirds of their pay comes a 20% fee for their attorney.
Right. The way that I do it is, if a person comes to me and they're already getting their workers' compensation, I don't take any fee at all, because I didn't do anything to get them their benefits, so I don't take a fee. And it's only if there's litigation down the road, then I would start taking a fee. But when they come to me already getting their benefits, essentially they're getting a free attorney. If the person, of course, is not getting benefits and I have to go to court to get them, and I'm successful, then I get 20%. If I'm not successful, of course, then they don't owe you anything. Or if down the road the insurance company tries to stop your benefits and we're successful and there's litigation, then we start taking a fee. But initially, there's no fee if they're already coming to our office getting their benefits, because we didn't do anything to create their benefits.
That's an amazing statistic. Thank you. Now, we want to talk about some of the things, the cases that we've seen. We've seen a lot of cases over the years, and the thing that really never ceases to amaze me is that in an obvious case, when somebody, for example, has a digital image of an employee getting hurt, they deny the case. They don't pay for the doctors, they don't pay for the care, even when they can see the employee was hurt on the tape and they didn't do the proper procedure, they didn't call an ambulance or whatever. And if you don't secure the services of a competent attorney, you are out of luck. Because we see this scenario where somebody who's used to getting a weekly paycheck now is injured, can't work, maybe goes sees the company doctor, and they send them back and say, "Well, we'll put you in a corner and let you watch paint dry, so you can still get some kind of check." And then their case just evaporates, but that person still has the injury. So when you're painted into a corner like that, make sure you seek out a competent attorney and talk to them. And now with the internet and the ability to get a hold of you, James at Abrams, Abram.com.
Right.
And then you can also call them at the office. The number is 610-667-7511. You can just take. I bet you they could just put your name, James Mogul, on the internet and go to Philly, and it would pop up.
It would.
Yeah, I haven't tried
Pennsylvania Workers' Compensation Center.
There we. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, incidentally, we have to put a feather in Mr. Mogul's cap. In 2009, he was named top lawyer by Mainline Today, which I'm told is a periodical.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So after 26 years of experience, you get a plaque on the wall.
Yes. Thank you. But also, there are specialists in workers' compensation, and you should get a lawyer that just does workers' compensation.
Yes,
Don't get a lawyer that does a little workers' compensation, a lot of other things.
A jack of all trades.
Right. You don't want that.
Yeah, there are attorneys out there that we've run into. Unfortunately, sometimes patients come in with their attorney attached, and we can't refer them to somebody until they find out that the attorney that promises them everything can't deliver. And then oftentimes it's too late because some of the damage has been done.
Right.
But a lot of times you just don't know the system. And like I had said earlier when we opened up the show, when I first started practicing, I thought all doctors would tell the truth. I thought there's nothing wrong with the system. This is the way it's designed. Once you have an MRI, for example, I'll look at an MRI and I'll say, well, there's a disc protrusion on it and it occludes the spinal cord half the way. Well, the company doctor will look at the same MRI and say, well, the spinal cord is half open. So, I guess the judge gets to sit there and figure this stuff out.
They do, but there's ways that you can make the judge more on your side, too, of course. Your doctor has greater knowledge and familiarity of you than the IME doctor only saw you one time. Also, if they're using the same IME doctors over and over and over again...
Pardon me just a second. We have a home viewer. Home viewer, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Good evening.
Hi. I don't have a question. I just wanted to make sure that every injured worker out there heard it loud and clear that you need to get an attorney, and you have to get the right attorney.
Is this Carol?
Yes, it is.
Carol, the other thing that's unique about Mr. Mogul is that he goes to everybody's hearing. He told me,
yes.
He told me on the way over that he is now getting an associate at the law firm that he's working with. But there are many different attorneys, have a couple of different attorneys in the office, and when you're scheduled in Allentown and Lancaster in the same day, somebody will fill in each one of those hearings.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a crapshoot. You get who shows up. But with Mr. Mogul, I can tell you he is always the one that shows up at your hearings.
Right, that's always been my policy, because with some of the larger defensive firms that I deal with on the other side, I'll literally see a different attorney every single hearing or deposition in the case. And while they can read things and review things, there's no way that they're going to know the case as well as I do if they haven't been to the prior hearings and depositions.
That's a very important point. Thank you, Carol. We appreciate you calling in. In today's day and age where everything is computer generated and we can walk around and get everything on our cell phones, to have a competent attorney sitting in front of the judge when your hearing comes up means a lot. And like you said, sometimes when other attorneys in the firm would fill in, they have one piece of paper and they say, okay, well, this is a penalty petition and that's all I'm here for.
Right.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference. Plus, I don't want to say that the insurance companies are necessarily deceptive, but they know how to play the game.
They know how to play the game. They have a lot of resources, and you need somebody with resources behind you to help you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're not going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They might tell you part of the truth or what they think you want to hear, but they're not going to always tell you the truth.
True. And you don't have an infinite number of opportunities to put the cards on the table.
No. No, your testimony in front of the judge is critical, and you have to have your case lined up at that time, and you have to know what you're doing at that time, because the judge's findings as to whether you're credible or not are going to be absolutely critical to you winning your case.
Oh, I've heard the horror stories about attorneys that go to court and they lay their papers out on the floor and they're trying to find one piece of paper for an MRI or an X-ray or something. Can't find it, and I'm sure they can get it to the judge at a later date. They often do, but it just doesn't look professional.
No. And the worst thing an attorney can do, which I've seen many times, is to say they're here for another attorney and they don't even know about the case, but they're just filling in. That does not make the judges very happy, and that doesn't make you likely to win your case that way.
But the most important thing, like Carol said, is when you show up and you know what's going on with the case.
Right.
You know, barring, you know, there's enough excuses every now and then, like with bad weather and things of that nature.
Sure.
But in conclusion here, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I enjoy what I do. All I do is workers' compensation. I do it because I want to help people. And I think that people need to know their rights, and they need to advocate for themselves, and they need to get an advocate to advocate for themselves, so that they could get the compensation that they're due and get better and go back to work, or as better as they're going to get, and get the medical treatment they need. That's crucial. You have to understand that it's the purpose of an insurance company to make your claim as small and inexpensive and short as possible.
Exactly.
So they don't want to spend a lot of money on your medical treatment.
True.
They don't want to spend a lot of money paying you workers' compensation benefits. So you have to advocate for yourself to get what you need.
And oftentimes, I hate to say it, but the goal of the system was to get you originally back to work.
Right.
But it turns out to seem like you get the residual of those people who are never going to go back to work that are hurt that bad. And then to walk them through the whole workers' compensation process and on into the next step from there into Social Security or something of that nature. Well,
we certainly can do that. You know, for a lot of people that aren't going to get back to work, then the next step is the Social Security disability process.
Yep. Yep. But it's important to have somebody that shows you the path, because if you try and blaze that path all by yourself, you get lost in the woods.
No. There's so much misinformation that goes out there. Whenever I meet with a new client, even after 26 years, I'm still amazed at the misinformation that they got from the insurance company or their employer. I mean, I'm not saying people are intentionally lying, but you need to have somebody that's going to tell you the way it is, tell you the truth from your perspective, so you know what to do and can make good choices.
So in conclusion, folks, we hope you always remember that if you're injured at work, you got to go through these basic steps. Get a copy, or write out, like Mr. Mogul said, write in your own words what happened to you, because oftentimes, I guess you give it to your supervisor, they don't really know. They heard you fell in a storeroom, something of that nature. Right. You need to say, I fell in a storeroom, fell off a ladder, hit my head, landed on a pallet or whatever. Make it as accurate as possible so that when it comes back, you can sign it. Get a copy of that, and then it doesn't cost anything to go talk to an attorney. And let's give your telephone number one more time, 610-667-7511.
Correct.
And your website, if you'd like to talk to Mr. Mogul, it doesn't cost anything. James at LOWABRAM.com.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times you need to do just that. If you follow these basic steps and learn your rights, so that if you're injured at work and you can't go back to work and you have a family depending on you and a mortgage payment and a house and everything else, you can all get that covered and you don't have to stay awake at night. We want to thank you once again for coming on the air.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for inviting me.
Look forward to seeing you in the future. Good night.
Absolutely.